The argument of there's no problem, so why do we have this? It's not an argument. There's a problem, and instead of fixing it, you want to pretend like the problem doesn't exist. What is up, fam? It is Shar, and welcome to Long Living Color, where I provide quick tips and experiences on the law school process and legal field as a person of color. This past week, the Supreme Court announced that it will be taking another look as to whether race can be a consideration in college admissions to create a more diverse student body. This has been a topic of discussion in the Supreme Court a couple of times now. The first time in 2003 in Gutter v. Bollinger, which it was stated that race can be a factor, and that decision was upheld in 2016, but again, this was with a more liberal majority. Those aren't the times anymore. As I'm sure we all know, the Supreme Court is more of a conservative bloc this go around, and is bringing this case back up. Challengers of affirmative action state that consideration of race, which is a big factor for underrepresented students, violates the federal law and the Constitution. A man by the name of Edward Blum, or Blum, I don't know how you pronounce it, is a president of this organization that backs these affirmative action challenges, and I'll tell y'all what he had to say. In a multiracial, multi-ethnic nation like ours, the college admissions bar cannot be raised for some races and ethnic groups, but lowered for others. Our nation cannot remedy past discrimination and racial preferences with new discrimination and different racial preferences. So this Edward Blum or Blum guy is saying that he's going to remove this discrimination in the nation's oldest private school and oldest public school, being Harvard and UNC Chapel Hill. Harvard president said this in response: considering race as one factor among many in admissions decisions produces a more diverse student body, which strengthens the learning environment for all. Both universities state that they have been in line with the federal and constitutional law, as the lower courts have deemed as such in challenges like this before. So as we know, the Supreme Court has been pivotal in decisions regarding race in education to dismantle or try to dismantle the systematic oppressions against certain individuals due to the color of their skin. This goes back all the way to Brown v. Board of Education. I say that to say that the Supreme Court's decisions are momentous in how diverse our education looks. Now, there have been changes and caveats to affirmative action, such as, there can't be a racial quota. The school has to prove that factoring in race promotes diversity within schools, but they can't have a certain number of students that fall under a specific race as part of their policy. That was removed a while ago. And we do have some states already that have banned the consideration of race in admissions, including California, Michigan, and Florida. And of course, this is for public schools. The argument is that you have two candidates, and one candidate who may not be as qualified as the other candidate will get into a school based solely on the color of their skin, not on their qualifications. Hence, discriminatory. And I find that argument so laughable. Affirmative action wouldn't even exist if we didn't have a system based on discrimination. Since the beginning, schools were segregated. We literally needed a Supreme Court to tell people that segregation was wrong, when in the beginning, they justified segregation. This is the same court. This is the same system, guys. There are not enough minorities in so many professions, including the legal profession, hence why I even make this YouTube. The majority of people that practice law are white people. Relative to the population size, there are no minorities that practice the law. And when stuff like this gets brought up time and time again, you have all of these arguments, all of these things where it's like, oh, it's unfair, they're taking my seat. Listen, I love how they compare themselves. I love how white applicants compare themselves to, first off, a very small portion of applicant pool. Very, very small portion of the applicant pool, and say that that portion of the applicant pool is taking their seats. But your white counterparts aren't taking your seats. The majority of the pool, the majority of the applicant pool is white. They're not taking your seats, but this percent of the pool is. I was so hyped this past, I was so hyped because the numbers for the amount of URMs going to law school raised. It raised. I saw so many of my POC peers, and I saw a lot of my Black peers applying and getting in to law school. And I'm still hype about that. This doesn't take away from any of that. We love to say how the system is fixed, how everything is okay. The president of that organization that brought up this whole challenge, the Bloom guy, we live in a place that has multiple ethnicities and multiple nationalities. It's crazy at this point. It's that whole argument that racism is over, that we are in the 21st century. Why are we still doing affirmative action? Why are we still talking about these diversity scholarships, fellowships, opportunities? Why are we still doing this? Because the system has never been fixed. What's not catching on? I love when people say racism is over, but Black people are still getting killed. I love it when people say that. How does that make any sense? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. It's hard not to get passionate, not to get angry about this stuff, man. Because they keep wanting to take things away from a system that isn't fixed. It's not fixed. If you want affirmative action to go away, then bring us resources. You want to make a decision to take away affirmative action? Then I want to see public inner city schools at higher rankings with better test scores, better teachers, better resources. Not even the teachers' fault. The teachers don't have the resources to teach. Fix that. But y'all don't want to fix that. You want everything to stay the same and take away. That's what y'all want to do, and say it's justified because we're in the 21st century. That doesn't mean anything. There couldn't be slavery anymore. So let's make a system that purposely keeps things in line to where Black people and people of color are still on the bottom of the totem pole. That's all that happened, y'all. That's it. And I'm going into this field to try to fix it. And so many of my people are. So many of us are. To try to fix it. To try to infiltrate these white spaces and create diversity and create our own. If we're not going to infiltrate, we're going to create our own. The argument of there's no problem, so why do we have this? It's not an argument. There's a problem, and instead of fixing it, you want to pretend like the problem doesn't exist. The point of this video is not for me to just rant on this stuff, because I could all day. Like, I'm shaking right now. I could all day. The point of this video is to give y'all the news, right? That's what I do on here. I give y'all the news. I give y'all tips. I give y'all resources. Is to give y'all the news, to give y'all the heads up on what's going on if you haven't already heard. I don't want to scare y'all. I don't want to infuriate y'all. I don't want to make y'all upset. I mean, honestly, this in of itself is a topic to be talked about with other people. And hopefully I do get some other people on the show to talk about it with. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Really, the most we can do is worry about our applications, our plans in life, and just being the best people we can be. I really need y'all to keep up the momentum. Last cycle was beautiful. This isn't gonna stop us, okay? Whatever they decide on this affirmative action thing is not going to stop us. And that's not a quote from anyone. That's my end quote from me for this video. Peace, guys.